David and Goliath. Israel's army on one mountain, the Philistines were on the other. With the valley of Elah between them, they could scream and yell at each other. The Philistines had a giant. His name was Goliath of Gath, covered in armor made of bronze, with a heavy spear in his hand. Before Goliath walked his armor-bearer, holding a heavy bronze shield. The giant stood each day screaming, "Send a man, we'll fight in this field. If he's able to kill me, then we'll be your slaves. If not, you'll work for us." The same argument made 40 days. Then came a boy named David from the town of Bethlehem, son of Jesse the Ephratite, descendant of Abraham. This Jesse had 8 sons, 3 of whom followed King Saul. David's job was to care for the flocks. He was the youngest of them all. Ephah of grain, 10 loaves of bread, and take 10 cheeses beside. Jesse packed up David to carry all his brother's supplies. David rose up early and took off with the provisions. Jesse said, "Leave the sheep and bring back news of your brother's condition." David hurried to the encampment when he heard the battle cry. He left packages with the keeper and left to find out why. David found and greeted his brothers, asked them, "Why are you so terrified?" They said, "Behold this giant Goliath. Have you ever seen a man of this size?" Israel's army was fleeing. They seemed totally afraid. Then David saw Goliath, and Israel's warriors ran away. David said, "It is the armies of the living God that this man defies. Brothers, what shall be done for one who kills this Philistine?" He asked again the question why none would face this man. He'd have riches with no taxes, and King Saul's daughter's hand. Eliab, David's brother, this was Jesse's eldest son, burned with anger at David's questions, and asked him why he'd come. "Why don't you just leave now and go finish your chores? Why is it that you came here and left those few sheep of yours?" Well, David was not afraid, told King Saul that he would fight. He said, "Do not let your hearts be afraid. I will go and make this right." Saul said, "No, you're just a boy, and I must tell you the truth. You are no match for this giant, who had been trained up from his youth." David said, "My father's sheep I have kept safe, from both lion and bear. When they rose up against me, I caught them by the hair. God gave back the lamb to me, out of the lion's jaws, the Lord who delivered me from both bear and lion's paws. God will do the same again. This victory will be mine. He has defied the living God, this uncircumcised Philistine." Saul told David, "Go ahead and try if you think you can." David knew the Lord would give Goliath into his hands. Saul said, "To give you some protection, help shelter you from harm, why don't you go ahead and put my armor on?" David tried to wear it, but had to take it off. He said, "I'm just not used to this," and went back to look for some rocks. 5 smooth stones he spotted, shining on the ground. He stuck 4 in his shepherd's pouch, and in a sling slung 1 around. Goliath looked and saw David, and thought this was some trick. He said, "What am I, a dog, that you can come at me with a stick?" Goliath said to David, "If you come here, you will be killed. I will feed your body to the birds and beasts of the field." David yelled, "God has a word for all you who are gathered here. God wants you to know that he saves not with sword and spear." David shouted, "You come to me in armor, with spear and javelin, but the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands." David took out a smooth stone and placed it in his sling. He swung and swung it all around till it went barreling. Sinking in his forehead, Goliath crashed to the ground. Falling slowly to the earth, this giant came tumbling down. David took the giant's sword and cut off Goliath's head. The Philistines then ran in terror to see their champion dead.